Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Well, been back for a minute, but we here. I'm good. How are you, sir?
I am full of color and very neatly done. It's Pride Month, so I got to be extra.
I was well, that was actually gonna be my next. I was getting ready to, you know, for your pride. I was just gonna say happy pride to you, sir.
Okay. Ah.
So how's it going? How's life over with the Rainbow Coalition this month? How's it going?
Um, they gonna try and act right this month, but by the
But
time we
are
get
they
to July
though?
4th, oh no, 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 in their mind, but they're gonna be book wow wide open all month long. Please understand. Please be
Exactly.
clear. They will be wide open
Exactly.
all
That's
month long.
right. That's why I'm like, but really, are they though? Hey, everybody
They
coming
not.
in. So listen, you guys. I am streaming on both channels. For those who are new here and did not know that El Teddy and myself had an education channel, well, here you guys go. If you could go over and subscribe, that would be great. On my main channel, it is a members only chat, but the link is at the top if you want to head on over to the Teacher Project 2.0, and you can chat as freely as you like right on over there. We have been gone for a while due to just lifing and our schedules colliding, but we are here, and we didn't want to miss another week. So we're coming in a little later than what we normally do because, again, schedules, we're doing what the schedules we're doing. But we definitely wanted to try to come and talk to you guys. We did have two special episodes over the last couple of weeks that we were out. We did an interview last week with Darius Williams, who is a educator and children's book author. And then we also did a Saturday episode where we discussed the teacher who allowed the students to do his hair while streaming it on TikTok. Just to give a quick update, that teacher was not fired, but he was moved to a different school. He was moved, but he was not fired. I do not know any personnel issues any personnel information beyond that, but I would be willing to bet, and El Teddy, you tell me if you agree or disagree. I would be willing to bet that at this new school, he will be under much um, close watch and scrutiny, and he may even be on a in some type of performance improvement
Hmm.
plan or something to that effect. I would be willing to put some money on it that one of those things did happen. He is in a situation where there is a union, and so anybody who understands how things work with collective bargaining and things of that nature, it's just not that easy. But I would be willing to bet that he is definitely under some sort of something. Okay, what do you think? If you, I saw you nodding
Something.
your head, so you
No,
agree?
no, no. I agree totally. He had to go down and talk to some people in some offices, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, certainly
Ouch.
this will be a learning lesson for
Okay.
him. And I mean, for all we know, it'll be a blip on the screen in the arc of his career.
And here's the thing, as we hope, because even though I think both of us were very stern, because I don't think we were hard on him, but both of us were very stern with how we felt about the situation. I'm going to say that both of us understand the importance and the need for representation, especially coming from Black men in education. So, did I want to see him thrown away? Absolutely not. But did I want to see him understand that what he did was, in my opinion, inappropriate and that there was a better way to build relationship with his students? Yes. So that's where I stand with it. Any final words you want to add on that? We're gonna
No, I think we
move.
gave him everything he needed. In the moment,
We
he
gave
got
him everything
everything
we
he was
got.
looking for. Yeah, we gave him two to the head, three to the body. In
Right,
the
right.
moment, he got all he was looking for.
Right.
And
We Anita Baker him. We gave him the best we got.
mhm, right.
So it's interesting the stories. Again, if you are new here, El Teddy pulls he does the research, and I just moderate the panel. So it was interesting the article that you pulled, and I want to start with the article you pulled about parents having not seeing a problem with with student attendance.
I saw that and I said, oh, we have to address that.
Yes, because I want to link that into a couple of things that I actually wanted to talk to you about anyway. So sorry, I was so thirsty. Okay. So I'm going to put the link to the article in the chat, and then I'll read through the article. Please, again, if you want to chat, please feel free to go over to the Teacher Project 2.0. The link is pinned at the top, and you can chat as freely as you like. Members on the ReallyBTV channel. Oh, gosh. I'm sorry, y'all. My computer updated, and now everything is just not where it's supposed to be. Oh gosh. Okay, give me a quick second so I can pull this. I can pull the article from my phone. I don't want to hold this up. I'll pull the article from my phone. Where is it? I'll put the link in a minute. I mean, give me a second to get the link. But I'll put an article from my phone. Okay. Steady, are you ready? So this is an article, and it's coming from wdrb.com, and the article states that new data shows only 5% of parents find students' chronic absenteeism a major concern. 5% of parents. So let me go forward and read the article. It's coming out of Louisville, Kentucky. Educators are sounding the alarm about a major problem facing nearly 1 in every 3 students in Kentucky: chronic absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism, which is defined as students missing 10% of the school year, has more than doubled since after the pandemic. Now, new polling data shows most parents don't even know what chronic absenteeism is and don't see it as a major concern. For the 22-23 school year, the Kentucky Department of Education shows 30% of all students were considered chronically absent in the state. Jefferson County Public School students were above the state average. Experts say the uptick in the number of students being chronically absent also aligns with drops in reading and math scores nationwide. This week, NPR and IPSOS released a new poll showing only 5% of parents found chronic absenteeism or missing a large amount of school as a major concern. Only 6% of parents thought their children fell into this category, when in reality, the national average is about 1 in 4 students, according to the report. There's also a misconception that excused versus unexcused absences. Right. And I want to definitely address excused versus unexcused. The KDE said students who miss just 2 days per month for any reason are likely to fall behind in school. As for why chronic absenteeism is on the rise, experts point to a number of factors, including issues with bullying or mental health, transportation, and family challenges. That's where that article ends, but I'm sure if you guys want to go and find the data, it is linked in the article. And again, I'm going to drop the link in a moment. I'm having some technical difficulties with my computer, but I'll get the link. I'll get the link while El Teddy is giving his commentary. You can speak first on it.
I think that this speaks to the diminution of the further diminution, I should say, of parents and their involvement in the educational process of their child. We've seen over the course of decades now how parents just don't give a damn no more. Education is not something that's celebrated the way it used to be, and certainly if you don't celebrate or don't appreciate how worthwhile education is, you certainly have no understanding for the people that work in education, for the people whose job it is to see to it that education is actually facilitated. And we've seen that over the years where parents have shifted from coming to really see what's going on with their child, instead coming to the school to argue with the teacher about why that teacher is wrong and their child is always right. And now when you tell me that parents are not as concerned about chronic absenteeism, that's because we have the generation of parents now. that don't care if their child don't go to school. Oh, you don't want to go to school? All right, just lay down, play PlayStation all day. Some of us grew up in households where unless a bone was protruding through your skin and you were actively bleeding out of that same wound, you was going to school. Come hell or high water. You could have had every cold in the world. You could have had every stomach ache in the world. You could have had every reason you want. Baby, you was going to school. Because we ain't got no food to feed you here. And ain't nobody here to keep you. Go your butt to school. And so now I think too many times we see really be, and I think this is a chronic problem as overarching problem as well. Too many parents want to treat children like small adults. Too many parents want to treat students and children, I should say, like small adults. They want to give them the same privileges of adults. They want to give them the same advantages of the adult. They want to give them the same everything that adult, the same experiences. You want them to have all of the same things you have, and you rob them of being a child and those lessons that they have to learn when they are a child that will equip them to be an adult. So when you tell me that these parents are like, oh, they miss school, oh, child, it's just school, they'll go back. Because what do they know really be? If they miss an assignment, they got 35 times to make it up. If they fail an assignment, they got 35 times to make it up. If they do happen to get an F, all they got to do is go to the administration and it will be changed. So where's the value for them in going to and having that child go to school, except for making sure that they don't get marked truant? That's just how I feel about it, really. I don't know if you see it different, but that's just how I feel about it.
So here's the thing. We're going to go back to what I've been saying probably for the last 2 school years. More and more parents, and I'm going to just be fair, everybody for that matter, more and more people see school as a place where your children go, where we are babysitters. You do not see this as a place of learning. You do not see the school as somewhere where your children are getting an education and there's an expectation of learning, and there's an expectation that this is going to be, like you said, where we're going to be teaching your children critical thinking skills and consequences for behavior and all of these different elements that go into more than just A's and B's and I mean, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. When you don't, going back to your point, El Teddy, about when we were kids and we didn't want to go to school, we thought long and hard. Now, I ain't gonna sit here and say none of us faked up, but we thought about that thing because we knew there was gonna be a consequence. We didn't fake it too close to the weekend, so you wasn't gonna fake it on Thursday or Friday. Right? You wasn't gonna fake it on Monday because your mama's gonna say, well, you was fine yesterday. Wasn't nothing wrong with you Sunday. You was running around this house all day Sunday. You didn't have no problems. So really, we was limited to Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then,
okay.
right. Okay. And then, like you said, then became the issue of either mama and daddy got to take off work and take care of me, or I got to go to grandma's house or my godmama house. That is, and that's where the jokes come in about heat of the night, young and the restless, wheel of fortune, because we knew what went down at grandma's house. Okay. But you weren't, not fun. Like you said, no, you're not watching TV. No, you're not talking to your friends on the phone. No, you're not. I mean, for us, no, you're not listening to the radio. I wish I would have been able to not go to school and then sit on the computer all day and play a video game. Even though the video game didn't take no effort. Even though I didn't have to hardly lean up my head. In my parents' mind, if you don't feel well enough to go to school, you don't feel well enough to play no video game.
Right.
So when you say, when people say, well, I think let's break down some of these numbers. There's 180 days in a school year, right? It's the same 180 days no matter how you slice it, whether you start earlier, you start later, you take a bigger Christmas break or spring break, whatever. It's 180 days, right? 10% of that's 18 days. We're only in school for 9 months. So when you break it down like that, so you're telling me that your child is sick, and I'm not talking about people who have chronic illnesses. I'm not talking about people who have. We're not. There are things in place for people. 504 plans and things of that nature are in place. We are not talking about if you got into an accident or you had we ain't talking about that. We're talking about kids that just wake up in the morning and say, "Mama, I don't feel like going to school today. Mama, I don't feel good. Daddy, I don't feel. Grandma, whatever." That's who we talking about. So I understand everybody got a situation, but when you're talking about y'all are the outliers, right? To say that 2 days out of every month that school is now, mind you, you already get there's only 1 month, generally speaking. Again, teachers know these things off the top of our head, El Teddy. There's only 1 month, generally speaking, in a school year where you don't get any break, and that's the month of March. March don't have nothing, generally speaking. Now this year,
Well, no, in my district they invented spring break, so you can get something in March,
right?
so you can't go to home.
Our spring break usually falls during April. Now, this year, our spring break was early because Easter was early and all of that. But generally speaking, there's at least 1 day off every month during the school year. So you mean
And
to
then
tell
we
me
have
on
early
top
release
of,
days down south.
yeah, don't forget the half a days, early release days, right? So you mean to tell me that on top of the days that are already embedded in the school year, your kids need an extra 2 days per month? And they said that's the average. So we're not talking, that's what chronic illness is. That's when they consider chronic illness. In most school districts, if you have more than 10 unexcused absences in a school year, you can automatically fail. Now, most places don't enforce it, but that can happen. And here's what I want y'all to understand. Now, in my school district, we had a situation last month. On May the 31st, a student, 14-year-old, 9th grade freshman, she was shot and killed. Well, she was officially pronounced dead on Monday. She was shot on May the 31st, which is a Friday. She was shot when she should have been in her 4th period class. Right? This is a student who the school had called regularly, let the parent know, hey, your child's not in school, your child's not in class, your child's cutting class. This is a student who had failed 1st quarter, 2nd quarter, and was well on their way to failing 3rd and 4th quarter. Right? The parent, and I understand that there's a level of grief that's involved in this and a level of guilt. I got that. The day that the girl was, that this happened, she had left school early. So she came to school that day. She left school early, went to go to her boyfriend's house. And unfortunately, there was a drive-by shooting. She wasn't even supposed to be there. She was only one in the house in the house that was unalived. Parent came up to the school, going off, talking about suing the school because it was the school's responsibility to keep her child in the building. Now, I know there's a level of grief that's involved in that, and maybe even a level of guilt that the parent is dealing with. I understand that. But I want you guys to understand that that is really, truly how people feel, because the school is seen as a babysitter. I don't know. It is a sad story, but I'm just telling you, this is a real situation. It just happened in my district. And actually, one of my friends, that was their student. That child was actually supposed to be in his class when the incident happened. And like me and El Teddy have been telling you guys, our grade book as a teacher, our grade book is a legal document.
Legal document.
So the first thing that they did was call the school to find out if she was in school or if she had been marked present. And of course, the teacher was like, no, she's not here. She wasn't here, blah, blah. And of course, he didn't mark her present. And so I say all that to say, again, I'm not trying to bring the mood down, but this is real, you guys. This is real. But because there was no expectation, this girl had been doing it all year. She hadn't been coming to school, and the parent was very aware of what their child was doing. So when we talk about outside of the expectation of learning, why these things are important, it might keep your kids out of something they ain't supposed to be involved in. Because again, nobody was looking for her. And she was the only one that is not alive today. And she wasn't even the target. I
Well,
just go ahead. Go ahead.
there's another part of this as well. I We talk about all the time, these are life skills that they need to have. Everybody's not going to have a salaried job, really be. You know that? So what that means
I
is some people work hourly. And guess what happens if you work hourly? If you decide that you don't want to go to work that day, guess who not gonna get paid? Guess who paycheck gonna be short? Guess who may not be able to get that extra set of nails, did, or that extra. I don't know. Guess who family might have to be without something because you decided, yeah, I just don't feel it today. Because sometimes you got to go even when you don't feel like going. Think about how the country would be crippled if every industry was thought about or operated like people think about or try to operate the education system. I want you to really wrap your brain around that. If every single industry that we have was operated that way, we would be all jacked up. I mean, society would be crippled. Crippled.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because that brings me to the second thing that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. So let's look at this. This was a poll that was done. Now, we don't need to pay attention to the fact that this came, from a Fox News, but I want us to look at this for a second, and I want you in the audience to understand how what your kids are not getting in school is connecting to what's going on in the workforce, right? So, El Teddy, during job interviews, employers say recent college graduates have struggled with eye contact at 53%. Why aren't kids making eye contact? Because they're not made to, because they're on their phones all day. I can't get my students to make eye contact with me. It is a battle. Excuse me. I need you to look over here. I can hear you. I don't need to be looking at you to yes, you do. I need your eyes forward. Do you understand something as simple as that is a battle in the classroom these days? Asked for unreasonable compensation. Why do you think they're asking for unreasonable compensation, El Teddy? I'm gonna let you take that one.
Why? Because they're given everything. Why do you think they ask for
Exactly.
unreasonable compensation? They're
Exactly.
given everything. And then they see people all over Al Gore's good internet being rewarded for not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Literally sit and
Mm-hmm.
get rewarded for doing absolutely positively nothing. And
The
so they
third.
just expect that. I think some of these people really just expect that things just happen, like it's a force of nature and things just happen. They don't realize there are real people and real things happening in the background to make all of these things go and make these things happen. But they have these unreasonable expectations. They feel like fresh out of college, the week after they graduated and turned in their cap and gown, they should be making six figures right then. Ain't paid no dues, ain't put in no work, don't have no work history there, ain't did nothing, ain't added to, ain't did nothing. But they want six figures right away with a comprehensive benefits package. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't get that, but I do understand too that some things are just unreasonable expectations.
So here's the thing. I see people saying what is unreasonable. Now I do understand that, and like El Teddy said, I'm all here for you asking and you negotiating. But I think, and again, because that number is at 50%, I'm going to go out on a limb and say unreasonable. I think it goes into, like you said, expecting to, like, you're just coming out of college, you have an undergrad, you ain't worked a day nowhere, and you want, six figures, you want to work from home, you want 6 weeks of vacation, you want another 2 months of, blah, blah, this and blah. I'm not saying that you can't ask for certain things, but unreasonable, I think, is the key word. And I understand people are like, what do you mean by unreasonable? I don't have that answer. But I'm coming from somebody that works with these kids that have unreasonable expectations, like you said, that entitlement. The third one is something that y'all hate when I get down and I start talking. 47% dressed inappropriately.
Mm.
We have got to stop excusing the what's the word I'm looking for? The expectations of what is appropriate to society. When you go on a job interview, it is not appropriate to be, wearing a halter top or tight clothes or a bonnet or slippers. Like, and I know that might be extreme, but I bet you people are showing up with bonnets on or with their belly ring showing, or you know what I mean? Now, if you applying for a job down to the script club, maybe they wear jeans and sneakers to weddings, child. Well, listen, you can dress sneakers up. Because, like, I know for me, I can't do a lot of shoes. I wear a lot of sneakers because I can't. I have my balance is off. But you can dress sneakers up. You don't have to wear, like, you can dress them up. I think if you have on a suit and you have some nice, some sneakers or some nice slip-ons, you could get away with that. I don't think that is a major, major, major thing. But at
Tracy said you can't
47%,
get away with that in her office. When you come to interview with her, Tracy says she's not having that. Not no suit and no damn
anyway,
um I'm looking at the one that says use
we're gonna
inappropriate
get there.
language.
We're gonna get there. We about to get to that one next. Because
Because my
that's
thing
one of my
about that is that's because it happens at home. The first place you learn to turn it on and turn it off is at home, because many of us grew up in a household where if you cussed in your parents' household, there was hell and high water. Hell and high water. And it may have been seen as being mean, but what that teaches you is time and place. There are places where you can do that, and there are places where you can't. Some of these kids never develop the skill to turn it on and turn it off. We all can cuss like a sailor, but we also all know how to filter ourselves and censor ourselves when we get in certain places, so to act professionally.
and here's the thing, and me and my best friend have this conversation all the time, and one day she gonna hear it. Um one day she gonna hear it and hear this is she gonna be like, oh Lord, here we go again. But this is the point that I'm trying to get through to people. You might not care about your kids cursing. You might not think it's a big deal. But again, kids don't always understand the when and the where and the how to turn it off. Now, do I think that everybody is just walking into job interviews saying, man, fuck, oh shit? But what we're not always taking into account is you never know who's listening. You never know who's in the elevator with you. You never know who's in the bathroom with you. It might be the person that's getting ready to interview you, and you on the phone and you like, man, these motherfuckers, fuck this bullshit, blah 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 blah. And the person in the stall next to you might be the person you can already sit in front of, right? When people, the thing I keep trying to get people to understand is school is a job. And we have to put the same expectations on going to school that we expect, because kids, they are just that. They are little people that have to be taught or trained. Now, I know people don't like that because they're like, oh, well, they're people. And no, but they have to be trained. And training them is understanding what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. Cursing, whether you're cursing at your supervisor or just cursing around your supervisor, is not appropriate. Now, if you get to the point where you cool with them and they know you and you know them and y'all are just shooting the breeze, that's another conversation. But going into a job interview, that's not okay. It is not okay. Refuse to turn on a camera during a virtual interview. I couldn't get the kids to turn on their camera when we were doing virtual school, so I'm sure they're doing it. See, remember, these are the COVID kids. When they say
Mm-hmm.
recent people, that these are our kids that my COVID class just graduated from high school, so the kids that are in college now, they were like at the the beginning of that COVID generation. Now that last one, Tracy said she was stuck on this last one. El Teddy brought a parent
I can
to
see
their
that.
interview.
They say they might need a ride home. They needed a ride home.
Listen, I
They
told you
needed a
guys
ride
before,
home.
but look, I told y'all that I had a friend who they had hired, they had hired this recent graduate, right? And for whatever reason, things weren't working out too well. And they had to, there was some they had to call her in and basically write her up. Now this is for a government job. Now like I know, a good government job. It wasn't like she was getting ready to get fired, child. They were just trying to tell her, hey, you need to get it together. I need you to work on some things. Baby, why her mama called up there to speak to the supervisor? My friend happened to be her supervisor, and he was like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, her mama wanted to talk to her supervisor.
Mess.
So anyway, I
Mess.
just thought that LinkedIn, I saw that, and it's funny because I actually meant to put it in the group chat, in your members only group chat, and I kept forgetting. But I thought this linked right in really, really well with that article, child. All right. Anyway, moving on to the next article. Students do this often with graduate students. Oh my gosh. Parents, I need y'all to stop. Like if you are guilty, if any of these rocks are hitting you, I need y'all. I'm serious. It's with love that we are throwing them at y'all. I need y'all to do better. And it's with love that I say that. It's with love. It's with love. Anyway, which one do you want to do next, sir? You want to talk about DeSantis, your favorite person, or do you want to talk about do you want to do the superintendent last, the black superintendent?
Yo, we do the superintendent last. Let's do governor death sentence.
Okay, so I'm gonna read the article. I'll put the link in the chat. Give me a second, but let's read through this one. So coming from El Teddy's home state and favorite place to talk about, Florida. DeSantis raises teachers' pay, blames unions for Florida education woes.
You got a lot of nerve, sir. You got a lot of nerve.
Florida teachers will see an increase in salaries for the 24-25 school year, but the money came with a message. At a press conference in Hialeah on Monday, Governor
Hialeah.
Ron, Hallelujah, thank you. Governor Ron, that's what I said. That's what I said. Hallelujah.
Hialeah.
That's what I said.
Oh God. Hialeah.
Governor Ron announced that he would approve $1.2 billion in state budget for teacher pay, saying he didn't want it to go to the head of the teachers union. I want it to go to the teachers. But the state's teachers union president questioned the $1.25 billion at a press conference later in the day. This is not what is in the budget, says Florida Education Association President Andrew Spar. In a Zoom call, the 24-25 General Appropriation Act does state an approximate 202 million increase in teacher salaries on top of the 1.5 billion to maintain prior year salary increases provided to classroom teachers and other instructional personnel pursuant to section 1011.62 Florida statutes. A request for clarification on the salary increase is pending with the governor's office, with the governor's press office. DeSantis, along with Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez and Education Commissioner Manny Diaz Jr., spent most of the press conference at the city of Hialeah.
Hialeah.
That's what I said. Education Academy, a charter school touting some key policies in his education agenda, especially union busting legislation that has made it more difficult for bargaining. Education unions have been weaponized, says Nunez. They are using the union dues, those hard-earned teacher union dues, to push their political agenda. And if teacher unions were to target, then U.S. Teachers of Dade, the teachers union for Miami-Dade County Public Schools, was the bullseye. I think teachers can continue to fight the good fight, give themselves a raise, and stay away from UTD, Nunez says. So don't be a part of the union, but you're going to get all the things that a union helps you get. Okay, girl. The union has 27,000 members, according to its website, and is close to being decertified last year after the union didn't meet the 60% threshold. That rule mandates public sector unions to have 60% required employee membership and prohibits the use of paycheck deduction for union dues. The union narrowly escaped decertification after 30% of its members signed showing of interest cards, but the battle continues, and DeSantis has chosen a side. The UTD will have another election this summer, he said at the press conference, standing behind a sign on the lectern that read, "Raising Teachers' Pay." All I can say is that the old union in Miami-Dade fought tooth and nail to keep kids locked out of school. They did not want kids in person during
What?
They did not want kids in person during COVID, and they worked really hard to push a political agenda, which is not what we need in our schools. And we're about education, not indoctrination. So that is going to be unfolding in the next couple of months. At FEE's press conference, the UTD first vice president, Antonio White, alleged the fight against his union is being led by the Freedom Foundation. Now, we already told y'all, whenever they have these words, the freedom, the independence, all those names, y'all already know what they're talking about. Which describes itself as not a think tank, but a battle tank that's a battle tank that's
tank.
battering the entrenched power of left-wing government union bosses who represent a permanent lobby for bigger government, higher taxes, and radical social agendas, according to his website. In a press release about the $1.2 billion increase to teacher pay, the DeSantis administration highlighted that over $4 billion the state has allocated to salaries since 2019. Florida's education system is number one in the nation, and we want to make sure good educators are attracted to Florida with attractive compensation. Shut up. Okay. But Florida's starting salary for teachers currently ranks 16th in the country, and the average teacher pay ranks 50th, according to the National Education Association. DeSantis has previously blamed teachers' unions for the teacher deficit in the state, which at one point reached 9,000 empty positions in 2022. And the book ban hoax, DeSantis has said book removals are being exaggerated and are the result of mainstream media unions and leftist articles. Unions have blamed DeSantis' emphasis on starting teacher pay as the cause of pay compression, when newer and less experienced teachers are paid close to what longer-term ones make, and therefore leading to a shortage of teachers. A 2020 law that mandated a starting salary of $47,500 requires districts to allocate 20% of the billions of education funds to veteran teachers, while beginning teachers to get 80%. In 2022, the starting salary for new teachers and salary for a 14-year veteran were the same in Leon County. Now that should never be the same. To deal with compression, Miami-Dade County voters passed the Secure Our Future referendum in 2022, which funds an increase in teacher pay and school security with property tax. At the same time, the tax would have cost the average homeowner $20 a month, according to the school district. This governor has put out a narrative that is just not supported by facts. And when you look at the facts, it shows that the governor is dead wrong, and he continues to try to push a narrative by deflecting and blaming others. And that was Spar said that at FEA's press conference on Monday. DeSantis also mentioned his office had approved about 90% of the 24-25 state budget. That is going to be probably that is going to be probably the week that all comes to a head. We haven't made final decisions on every little line item in the budget, he said. That is via, sorry, you guys, I didn't tell y'all where that was coming from. That is from the Tallahassee Democrat.
Here's the deal. I know a lot of the names that you read in that article. I know
I
them
mean, that's your
personally.
governor.
A lot of the people with the union people, I know them personally. United Teachers of Day is my union. I am still a dues paying member of said union. I was a building steward for many years for United Teachers of Day. And this is gaslighting. This is complete and utter. This is feeding the flames of all of the people who don't mean well. Let's be honest, for our children, because those people who are out, all of these zealots that are out here screaming about school systems and public schools and things like that, most of them don't even have children in public school, so they could give a damn about what's going on in public schools or whether it burns to the ground. The only thing that they care about is the fact that they do have friends and people in high places that can get certain contracts with the state, and then with them getting certain contracts with the state Department of Education, there are certain kickbacks that people in positions of power that can get. That's what this is all about. To say that the United Teachers of Day tried to keep students out of school, that's just complete and utter gaslighting. Complete and utter gaslighting. Because I would venture to guess that a parent would much rather their students stay home than go to school and perhaps die. Damn, and I'm not even gonna go to the students. Damn the students. What about those adults who would have to go to work and could perhaps die on the job because they don't matter, right?
You know they didn't care about us. They did not care about the teachers.
Because you would hear people say, "Well, the doctor said that it's not that significant in children." Who teaches the children? Like and the thing about it is, we keep saying this. Really, be we say this over and over and over. Governor death sentence, Governor Hot Wheels, Governor Quasimodo, all of these governors all over the place, right? They get on these bully pulpits, they grandstand, they make all of these statements and things like that. Where the hell is Miguel Cardona? Because he ain't said a goddamn thing to thwart any of this. Where the hell is your president, Joseph Robinette? Because I haven't even heard him mention the word education since he got inaugurated. I'm just being honest, really, be the only thing about education that he has mentioned is student loan, but there's no term for education in student loan. You know what I'm saying? It's student loan. There's no education in that. So my point being, the White House and this administration has not proven to us that they give a damn about public education. They are letting these states erase more and more of public education. And there's not a single thing being put in place to do anything about it. That's not from the White House. That's not from Congress. And that ain't from anybody in positions of power in Washington, D.C. So I got a news flash. We on our own out here in education. We on our goddamn own, state to state. It's the goddamn free for all. And we got to protect our children and their education at all costs. At all costs. At this point, really be, you know what I think really be? We should start our own. Since they're giving all of the money to the charters and the privates and the school of choice, let's make our own. Since they're getting rid of public education anyway. Hell, we know how to do it way better than they did, than they do. I don't know. I'm spiking out, really be. Take over. I'm spiking out. Spike it out.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, again, I want people to understand how the math works. How the math works. In any job or business, you have to make room for attrition. So there's always money in the budget for teachers' raises because most of us work on a sliding scale where it's based on your years of experience, it's based on your level of degrees. So that was very disingenuous what the governor was saying when the governor was making it seem like, oh, we're giving $1 billion to teachers, when that wasn't for the teachers' raises. That was for what was already in the budget. They were supposed to be adding another $200 million on top of that for teacher raises. I want you guys to hear that the average starting salary for a teacher in the state of Florida is $47,000 a year. $47,000 a year. Starting salary. Okay, then. All right. They want the kids to be dumb so that they can have an ignorant labor force to work minimum wage jobs forever. Vintage, you ain't lying. You ain't lying. Is there a systemic effort to get rid of public education? Absolutely. Yep. Joanne Bailey, there is absolutely a systemic effort. Pay attention to all of the legislation that's being passed, and it's very systemic. And like we've been saying for the past 4 years, Ron DeSantis created the roadmap, and everybody else is following it now. So, all right, you guys. Well, we have one final article. You know, we try to keep it to an hour when we do the teacher project. We have a final article. This that video that went viral that showed the young lady graduating and the father jumping on stage and physically pushing the superintendent of the school out of his way, saying, no, I don't want you to touch her. Now, it immediately went viral, and the story was this man was racist and didn't want his daughter to shake the superintendent's hand simply because he was a black man. The father came out later and said, no, that wasn't it. There have been issues with my daughter, and I felt like he was not helpful in resolving the issues. It wasn't because he was black. So there's an update. So let's read through the update. Oh. You better now?
I'm better.
All right.
I had to get my food out the oven. I feel like Sakina.
Lord. No, it ain't Sakina if it ain't vegan.
There's a lot of vegetable.
What are you making?
Salmon and Brussels sprouts.
Oh, I have a salad for dinner. That's what I'm over here chomping on, my salad. Okay. Wisconsin superintendent breaks silence after angry father shoves him away from his daughter at graduation. And this is coming from the New York. What up, Face? This is coming from the New York Post. All right. The Wisconsin high school superintendent, shoved aside by a father who didn't want the educator to shake his daughter's hand, isn't ready to put the incident behind him and slammed the father's attempted apology. Dr. Rainey Briggs, the head of Barbados School District, said an apology won't fix the damage Matthew Eady caused at Barabo High School's graduation ceremony on May the 31st. An apology just doesn't make things go away, he said on Tuesday. The outreach was really to indicate that Matthew, understands his mishap in terms of what he did, what he caused. He's remorseful, Briggs said. I look at that as some form of apology, but that's not something I think of at this time amounts to a solid apology from my perspective. Edie was caught on camera leaping on the stage as his daughter was collecting her diploma at the high school graduation, grabbing Briggs and pushing him aside, saying, I don't want her touching him. The 49-year-old father claimed that he pulled Briggs away in response to the school officials allegedly rolling his eyes during a prior disciplinary hearing when his daughter was facing expulsion. So wait a minute. So your daughter was the bully? Okay. I do not want him to be able to shake her effing hand because he does not deserve it from her. After all the SHIT we went through in this district, Edie told police in the video. He rolled his eye. Sorry, y'all. All these pop-ups. He rolled his eyes. He rolled his eyes when I brought up the fact that the same thing happened to her and it pissed me off. The father said and the school wasn't treating his daughter fairly. She was expelled for doing the same thing that was done to her and nothing was done to the previous people, Edie said. Briggs claimed he didn't recognize Edie when he rushed the stage, despite Edie telling police his bizarre act was payback for the perceived slight. I have not personally had any interactions with him, the school chief said. I wouldn't have been able to pick this guy out of a crowd. It wasn't until after I was able to pull his name up in the system to see who he was. Briggs feels bad for Edie's daughter and the other 250 graduates who attended the ceremony. This was a moment in time for them that they'll never get back, the way they had hoped for this to go. That was to walk across the stage with excitement, feeling like they've learned a lot, feeling like they've experienced some amazing teachers. That was all to some degree pushed aside that particular night. The superintendent, who is Black and took over the position in July of 2021, isn't sure if he was targeted on stage because of his race. The optics don't look good, Briggs added. The optics were what people around the world have gotten to see, and it's caused them to formulate in their minds what was behind the situation. But ultimately, Mr. Edie is the only one that could tell you whether it was racial or not. So, hold on, we're almost done. One last part. Edie's statements to the police following the incident seemingly contradict Briggs' statement, as the father-daughter duo have had past issues with Rainey and dislike him. Edie told police he wanted to prevent Rainey from having the satisfaction of shaking her hand. Then I tell you what, then you should have kept her ass home. How about that? How about that? If she just shouldn't have participated in graduation, you did not want her to shake that man's hand, then you just should have kept her home. I'm sorry.
First of all, a superintendent doesn't even have dealings with individual students like that. You know how many goddamn levels you have to go through to get through the superintendent, I promise you, was given the update on whatever story it was, and they had to make a decision based on the board policies and rules. I don't want to hear nothing about you saying it have nothing to do with racism, because that's just you trying to CYA because you know people were coming after you. So now you're just trying to cover your behind because you know it is racist. And you came up with this bullshit ass story about, oh, he rolled his eyes. So you're that fixated on the Black superintendent. You don't know who else on the school board may have rolled their eyes. You think if he rolled his eyes, you think he was the only one that rolled the eyes? Did anybody else roll their eyes? Did you look at anybody else to roll their eyes? First of all, what did your child do that grants expulsion, that warrants her being expelled? Not suspended, expelled, expulsion. There's not a whole lot of things that you do that gets you expelled. So if your child is at a hearing and they are getting expelled, they certainly got a lot going on. I guarantee you, really be his child will check all of the boxes of those things that you put up earlier. That they say is the problem with kids when they go on interviews. I'm sure she'll check all of those boxes. I'm almost certain about it. But if I'm the superintendent, no, I don't accept his apology. I'm not looking for it. If he tries to give it, he can keep it. We have nothing to talk about. Anything else? Because I'd like to talk about the 24-25 school year. I don't want to waste my time on him. That's what I would say.
Vintage brings up a good point, and I want to say this. A couple of things I want to say. First of all, there could be a situation where a superintendent is sitting in an expulsion hearing. But if it got to that point where the superintendent was in the expulsion hearing, then like El Teddy said, there was a whole lot going on with your child, and you have made a whole lot of noise, because there are so many layers you have to go through to get to that point. But to Vintage's point, at a graduation, there is a line. There is the principal, assistant principals. There is the principal's boss, which is usually like a area superintendent or area supervisor, and then you get to the superintendent. So you mean to tell me that this situation with your daughter was so egregious that the superintendent of the school system was involved, and you didn't have a problem with anybody else that was involved in the situation? You didn't have a problem with the principal, none of the assistant principals. You didn't have a problem with the area superintendent. You only had a problem with the superintendent, the top of the totem pole, who you probably had the least amount of interaction with for any reason. That
The man said he didn't even know who he was.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying, even if we're using the father's logic, I'm just saying, even if I say, okay, I believe you, which I don't, but even if I say, okay, father, I'm gonna believe what you're telling me, the layers that you would had to go through before you even got to the superintendent, you mean to tell me, no, you didn't have a problem with nobody else? Because in order for you to have gotten to the superintendent, that means that everybody else you were angry with, and you demanded a meeting with the superintendent, which means that the principal was going to expel your daughter. The principal's boss was going to expel your daughter. So you went through at least 3 layers of people. At least 3 layers of people. But that's the only person you had a problem with at graduation? Sir? Sir. Sir. And then it says, well, y'all were going to expel her for something that was done to her, and y'all didn't do anything to the other person. Now, and El Teddy, you can stop me if I'm wrong. I have no idea what this situation is, but what I do know is we hear that a lot. Well, my daughter was bullied first and y'all didn't do anything, and she was just defending herself and she was just retaliating. The level of retaliation that would have to be for your daughter to be getting ready to be expelled is on a level that
we're talking. She had to probably bring a weapon or something really egregious.
It would have to be a weapon for, it would have to be a weapon or a really, really, really bad fight where your daughter probably used a weapon for it to be pending expulsion. Like, I don't think y'all understand how serious it is for something to get to an expulsion level, especially in today's education. Especially in today's education, where they don't even want to send kids to after school detention.
There's only a finite number of things that will cause you to get expelled. A finite, very finite.
Yeah. Toya, we did not speak about that on this episode. El Teddy did speak about it on his channel. The Jay-Z. Do you want to do a brief breakdown of the Jay-Z situation before we get off of here?
Basically, they touted it as if Rock Nation was given $300,000. Rock Nation ain't giving a dime. It's all coming from government funds, the whole $300 million. And they're using that $300 million to fund school vouchers for elementary school. Yeah. And they tried to tout it as, they tried to originally tout it as Rock Nation actually giving them $300 million. And as if it was going to impoverish public school students. And that's not how this is going. That's not what's happening with the money. The fact that we are both over here eating down. Baby, we done had some long days today, honey. Baby, we are hungry.
Baby. And then this salad is not the best salad. So it is what it is, though. Well, you guys, it's been an hour. Those are our stories for today. If you are new here, please make sure you subscribe to the Teacher Project 2.0. This is what we do. We discuss current stories in education. And the party doesn't end just because school is over. Or what did Mark Lamont Hill have to say? I didn't see what he said.
That's a good compliment right there. A good compliment.
You guys, I'm sorry. You know, I normally don't eat on camera, but baby, yeah,
Me
like
neither,
LT
but
said.
I'm so hungry.
I'm hungry. But we can go ahead and wrap this up. I'm gonna go ahead and watch the Real Housewives of Dubai. I know I changed it for tomorrow, but we'll be back around 9:30 to do. Give me about 9:30, quarter to 10 to do the Real Housewives of Dubai to do a review. I'm about to watch it
Charlie
right
just
now.
finished that new episode of House on Fire. A mess.
Oh, I was watching that. So I'm about halfway through that. So we will talk to you guys. Right. Tracy says summer school begins. Exactly. We will talk to you guys later. So if you want to come back for the Real Housewives of Dubai, make sure you come back in about an hour and a half. Everybody else, we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Mwah! Okay, Mark Lamont Hill said it wasn't good. It was just the government take away funds from public schools. Yep. Good job, Mark Lamont. Good job.